All right, y'all. So I was having a discussion with somebody, right? And the person, we're talking about the fear, like, life. Life ain't fair. The subject was life isn't fair. He was telling me about, in his defense, he lost a loved one. And he's grieving, so I get it. But he was talking about the fairness of life, of how, the world ain't a fair place. The world isn't a fair place. And because I understood his situation and what he was going through, I didn't want to be insensitive to that, so I just let that statement hang out there. But I just want to say, if anybody's listening, that the world is very fair. Contrary to what we say, and to that popular saying, life ain't fair, I tend to disagree. I had a paradigmatic shift, and I want to say life is very fair. Life is very fair. It is. It really is. First of all, before I tell you why life is fair, let me tell you why why I had the paradigmatic shift and why it's not good to adopt that mentality. Why it's not fair to adopt that mentality, that life isn't fair. When you have the belief that life isn't fair, you're self-victimization. You're committing self-victimization. You're self-victimizing. You're self-victimizing, right? So you're not directly, but what's happening is you're germinating a seed in your mind of being a victim. Why? Because saying life isn't fair, out of that, then other thoughts arise that, why me? Life isn't fair. Why is this happening to me? I can't catch a break. Oh man, this, everything I try fails. So now you see how that leads and plays into self-victimizing. You know what I'm saying? You're victimizing yourself. You're making yourself a victim. So that's why I don't like that idea or that concept that life isn't fair. Now, I used to believe that statement that life isn't fair because I've heard it growing up. You know what I'm saying? And I was a product. You get conditioned. We all are conditioned. So I used to think that life wasn't fair too. But then I had what's called a paradigmatic shift, which is a shift in your subconscious patterns of thinking. And here's where I had to shift. I'm gonna give you an analogy. You got a rich guy. This guy's bank account is high six figures, 7 figures, multiple 7 figures. So you got a guy who's a multi-millionaire. And this guy's in the hospital. And he's waiting for the correct blood type so he can get some kind of organ donor, right? He needs an organ, whether it's a lung, liver, kidney, heart transplant, blood transfusion, whatever the case is, it really doesn't matter. The point is, he's in the hospital and he's got one foot in the grave. He's hanging on to dear life. He's got all his loved ones around. And like I said, he got 7 figures in his bank account, multiple 7 figures. So the guy's a multi-millionaire, has it all. He's loaded. The guy's loaded financially. Economically, he's loaded. But the guy's in the hospital fighting for his life. Okay, keep that in mind. That's one scenario. Here's another scenario. You have a homeless guy. Guy's a hobo. Down and out, penniless. Not a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. And he's sitting on a park bench somewhere. Maybe he's riding a subway. Right? But the guy's lungs, all his vital organs are in tip-top shape. I mean, his vital organs are in tip-top shape. If he went to the doctor right now, same hospital, and they did some tests on the guy's in tip-top shape. His oxygen levels are good, his breathing is good, everything's good. Might be malnutritioned a little bit because he's homeless, so he ain't eating good, right? He might be underweight, right? He's skinny, he ain't got, he's hungry. He's homeless. He might need a bath, a haircut. Hair, he might need to be groomed. He's dirty, a little dusty, definitely probably stink. Because he's homeless, so we understand that. But in terms of his health, the guy's in tip-top shape. Like his heart is good, his lungs is good, everything is good. All his vital organs are between 80 to 90%. It ain't perfect, but he's great health. That right there that I just showed you, an illustration, an analogy, is the fairness of life. That's why life is fair. The moral of that is the guy who is economically sound, who's a multimillionaire, life screwed him. Screwed him in terms of his physical health. The guy who's physically healthy but economically impoverished, life screwed him financially. Now, the decisions he's made, it's irrelevant. We're not here to criticize or judge what led them to a person being homeless and a person being wealthy. Wrong choices, right choices, it doesn't matter. That's not the point of this video. The point of the video is to show you that life screws everybody equally. The guy who has it all financially, he's screwed with his health. The guy who is impoverished and economically down and out has health. So the guy who has health, right, life screwed him economically. The guy who is healthy, vitally sound, life screwed him with poverty. And the guy who is economically rich, life screwed him with his health. That right there it's a raw, visceral depiction. It's a metaphor. It's an allegory of how life is fair. It's fair, friends. It's fair, my friends. It's very fair. And when you adapt that psychology, when you accept that reality, the beauty of that is you don't have any time to feel sorry for yourself. You'll never ever be depressed. Don't get me wrong. You'll have your days where you feel down and out, right? That's normal. That's human nature. Not every day you're going to be chipper and up and feel great. Some days you're just going to feel down. It's all right. Go home, sleep it off, wake up, and let's go get ready to do it again. That's not, but what will happen is, though, you will have your ups and downs. That's normal. But what you won't do is, or what's highly unlikely, is that you'll fall into depression. It's highly unlikely if you adopt that mentality that life is fair and it screws everybody equally. And if you are off that school of thought, it's highly unlikely for you to be depressed, because you'll know that when you have adverse, or when you have what's considered unfair or whatever, when things happen that will break the normal soul or crush the normal person, when you have that mindset that life is fair, it screws everybody equally, and you look at the analogy I used, you're less likely to fall into a funk of depression. You're less likely to commit suicide. You're less likely to be strung out on drugs, and you're less likely to be hung over at a bar drinking your sorrows away with a bottle in your mouth. You're less likely to be just having, looking for chasing skirts and looking to get a nut off so you can release the pain of life. Why? Because you will be of the mentality that no matter what you're going through, you'll never feel sorry for yourself, because you'll know, hey, life screws all of us equally. Life doesn't discriminate. Whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're at the top of the food chain or at the bottom of the barrel, it screws everybody equally. Get that, let that sink in. Look at this video again and listen to the analogy. The rich guy has bad health. The poor guy has good health. How do you square that circle? Easy. Life does not discriminate. It doesn't pick and choose who it's going to screw. It screws everybody. If y'all like it, y'all know what to do. Peace.